and you capture that powerful, powerful energy that's generated during sex. Both partners are able to capture and harness that energy. Hey, what's up guys? I'm Jonathan White. I'm here to help you master your sexual energy so you can manifest your ideal life. If you want to learn more about sexual mastery, make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon to stay notified when I release new videos. Make sure you get my free ejaculation control course through the link in the video description below. So in this video, I'm going to talk about sexual alchemy. What is sexual alchemy? So alchemy is a practice that has existed for thousands of years. And the basic premise of alchemy is one of transmutation, of transformation. The metaphor is turning lead into gold. So turning this kind of unusable, even toxic substance into something that's very refined and very usable, right? And throughout history, people have commonly tried to do this on an external level, mix various substances together to make the philosopher's stone, to make an elixir of immortality, right? And from this, many spiritual traditions developed internal alchemy, which is the process of taking some of the more crude aspects of our consciousness and our human experiences and refining them into something golden, something much more useful. So basically we could say alchemy is trying to take shit and turn it into gold on a simple level. So usually in alchemy, you combine two forces to make a third force, to make something new, right? And of course, in sex, a man and a woman or two partners, whatever, come together and they are able to create something else, a third force, which, obviously they can make a baby, but on a more subtle level, there's other things that can be created through the act of sex. So throughout history, sex has always been kind of a sticky subject, right? Especially in spiritual traditions. And in fact, many spiritual traditions have the standpoint of saying, sex is wrong, you should be celibate, sex is a sin. Because first of all, sex has become something that's been used to manipulate humanity, this powerful base drive to have sex, which I think is really coming from a spiritual drive, to recreate ourselves, to bond, to connect. It's such a powerful force that, it simply cannot be ignored. It's not something you can just say, okay, well, I'm just not going to do that anymore. It doesn't really work for most people, right? But a lot of spiritual paths, sex was such a sticky subject that they just said, well, just don't do it. Just don't have it, all right? Be pure, be holy, And unfortunately, this just doesn't really work. There's been so many cases in the past of gurus coming from India who were, established brahmacharyas. They had their self-control, they were celibate, but then all of a sudden they're here in America, they have all these, attractive female followers, and it's like, well, I'm in America, anything goes. So they start having affairs and things like that. And so we have this case of, that which you suppress is often strengthened, right? So when you suppress your sexuality, the moment you have a slight bit of weakness, bam, it just pops out and drives you to do things, right? So this is not integrating your sexuality into your path. This is trying to shove it in the closet and forget about it, but it starts to get pretty loud after a while. So certain spiritual traditions, such as tantric yogis, the Taoists, they included sexual cultivation practice as part of their spiritual cultivation because sex is such a powerful source of energy. When two people come together, it's like two batteries fusing together. You build this charge and you're able to exchange it and it becomes very, very powerful. I mean, we all love sex, let's face it, right? Because it's much more than just physical pleasure. Energetically, you opens you up. You get this exchange of energy. It's yin and yang meaning together. From a standpoint of man and woman, we could say stereotypically the woman has an excess of yin, the man has an excess of yang. They exchange that which they have in excess, and now they're able to correct each other's deficiencies and they become very balanced. Why do we seek mates? Because we're lacking something within us that we need to gain from exchange. So sex in itself is a natural act of internal alchemy, really. But with awareness, with intention and consciousness, you can amplify this process of internal transformation that happens within sex. So in the tradition of Taoist alchemy, I'm going to share some more technical terms here. Taoist alchemy is all about refining Jin, Qi, and Shin. Jin, Qi, and Shin are basically three vibrations of life force. But this life force exists in different vibrational states, we could say, different forms. And the metaphor here is like water. Water can exist as a solid. It can be ice, or it can be water, this fluid state. It can also be a gas, steam. So depending what speed those water molecules are vibrating at, it takes different forms. So the same thing with our life force. It exists in different forms. So when life force slows its vibration enough, becomes very dense, it turns into physical matter. Just a bit above this is the vibration of Jing. Jing is also known as essence. It's about as dense as energy can get before it becomes matter. And Jing is actually what is creating our bodies. We have this certain supply that we're born with. How we use it is up to us. And the more Jing we use, we expend Jing through excessive sex, through excessive worrying, fear, overworking, overthinking, right? Everything we do uses a bit of Jin. So if we do things in excess, we deplete ourselves prematurely. Qi is like the liquid form of water. It's this kind of intermediary energy that is able to flow. It's what travels through the channels of the body, delivers information. And Shin is the most high vibration of, life force. It's basically this spiritual energy. It's this very ethereal energy. So these are the three levels of Jin, Qi, and Shin. So in Taoist alchemy, the goal is to take this Jin and refine it into Qi so it can be used by the body to, correct imbalances, to improve our health and our energy. And that Qi can then be refined into Shin, which is this spiritual level to assist our spiritual growth. So they're basically three forms of the same thing, we could say. On a practical level, as a man, you have semen. And semen is this raw, dense energy. It's the essence of the body. And Jin is very much related to our semen, right? There's a certain amount of Jin in our semen because we need that to create new life. So the first step in sexual alchemy as a man is to stop leaking semen all the time. It's not that you can never ejaculate again, but you want to cut back significantly on your ejaculation so that you're not just leaking Jin every day. Then you can start to build up a supply of it. But the process doesn't stop there. You want to be able to refine this Jin into Qi, because when it's just this raw Jin in your testicles, it starts to build up to a point where it aggravates you, right? The Jin is unsettled. And what this looks like is it boosts your ego. You start to get competitive. You start to say, oh, I'm better than everyone else. I'm this godlike being. You get into conflicts with everyone because you become excessively polarized, basically, right? And you often become very irritable, very angry, just kind of a loaded gun, so to speak, right? Because you have this edge of all this built up Jin that wants to move, it wants to be mobilized, and you're not allowing it to. Refining this Jin into Qi through certain internal practices, it takes this ice, we could say, that's kind of lodged in the testicles and starts to move it into water. Now it can be moved through the body. So when you do a practice such as testicle breathing, it's not that you're actually moving the physical sperm through the body, you're moving the essence of the sperm through the body, and that starts to move through the channels of the body, which starts to improve their function. And the channels are also connected to the organs, the brain, the glands. So this sexual Qi starts to infuse into these glands and into the brain to nourish them and to improve their function. This is what keeps you young, right? One of the main causes of aging is a lack of sexual hormones in the brain. So by transforming this Jin into Qi and moving it throughout your body, it brings all those hormones, brings all that youthful glow to your entire body. And so in sexual cultivation, dual cultivation with a partner, how this works is that, during sex, you're building up this powerful charge of energy, right? And this raw Jin is being activated in your genitals, but instead of allowing that Jin to mobilize by ejaculating, which would normally happen, you do the sexual kung fu practice, drawing that energy up, moving it throughout your body. It moves into Qi, and now you can exchange it with your partner. So you store some in your body and you give your excess to your partner. And ideally, they're doing the same thing. They're cultivating their sexual energy, moving it through their body and exchanging it with you. So you get this powerful exchange of this activated sexual energy, which bonds you together very deeply. But again, it improves the function of your energy systems. Two people can create more energy together in sex than either one of them could alone. And just this first step of transforming Ji into Qi is way farther than 99% of people on this planet are able to do. And it creates very profound experiences in that sex no longer becomes about trying to reach gratification by rushing into a peak orgasm. It starts to become this beautiful exchange of really feeling your partner, feeling your partner's energy, feeling your energy, feeling the interaction, and the entire process becomes very orgasmic because this sexual energy is rushing through all your channels, because ideally you're practicing meditation, Qigong, you're opening up your channels so that you have these clear pathways open during sex for the sexual energy to move through, instead of just being stuck in your genitals and ejaculating it out. Sex is really, really beneficial for our health, our mental, physical, emotional, spiritual health. On a physical level, it generates tremendous amounts of hormones, youthful hormones, which normally when a man ejaculates, this is released. But when you don't ejaculate, you store these hormones in your body. It keeps you young. That's why you feel energized after non-ejaculatory sex. You and your partner have this glow for days afterwards, right? After a tantric lovemaking session. It's amazing. And the next step of transforming Qi into Shin, this is a bit more subtle. So it's taking this subtle energy that's flowing throughout the body and refining that further into this clear light, this pure consciousness, this pure spiritual energy that starts to open you up to the divine, to a connection to greater consciousness, to see that you and the universe are connected and that we are all cells in a cosmic organism, right? And this is something that can take, years of training in meditation, in Qi practices to really get to this point. But when you do, it's very, very powerful. And this is something that often often happens spontaneously during sex. It's another benefit about sexual cultivation with a partner is that a lot of these internal processes are unlocked naturally simply by, the openness and the transformation that occurs during lovemaking. So when you and your partner, have a tantric sex session together, a conscious sex session, you're exchanging energy. First you're very active, making love, building that sexual charge, building the arousal to a high point, moving the energy throughout the body. And then at some point you stop and you meditate together. You go into stillness. And that's what working with various energy centers of the body, working with the heart, working with the upper dantian, the pineal gland, this type of meditating together starts to transform this qi into pure light, into pure consciousness. And this is when you start to have these, cosmic orgasm experiences, right? Where the orgasm you're having in your body resonates with your partner's orgasm. Then you start to connect to greater forces, greater polarity, the sun, the moon, the stars, galaxies, right? You start to get into this cosmic orgasm, which is a very, very powerful experience. And so this is how sex is an alchemy, is that you're taking, an act that can be very animalistic, very primal, but you're expanding it in a way that actually can become a spiritual practice, becomes an energetic practice. And you're exchanging energy together. You're exchanging, sexual fluids, exchanging subtle energies, and you mix all of these things in the cauldrons of your body. The dantian energy center in the belly is also known as a cauldron. You mix all of these energies here and kind of cook them down, so to speak, refining them, and you capture that powerful, powerful energy that's generated during sex. Both partners are able to capture and harness that energy. Typically, we just lose this energy, right? A man ejaculates, it's gone. But now you have a container, you have a practice to build that energy, exchange it, store it in your body, and that becomes basically fuel for your creativity. Fuel to create more abundance in your life, to draw in the things that you want. Fuel for your spiritual growth. Practicing sexual alchemy, whether by yourself or with a partner, it will change you. I can say that I went through the greatest transformations in my life, when I started approaching sex from this more heightened, evolved level, we could say, right? Because for years, even though I had a strong spiritual practice, sex was still this very kind of low animalistic expression that was depleting my energy. It's like, okay, spend a few days meditating, then, I got to get on Pornhub and kind of scratch this itch. And okay, now I'm back as a monk here. So it's kind of split, right? And I see this in a lot of people. They're very cultivated in their spiritual path, but sex is still this low vibrational experience they're having. So the solution is to evolve your sexual experience. And again, once I started doing this, I no longer experienced this split between my sexual expression and my spiritual path. They started to merge together. My energy dramatically increased, when I stopped having exclusively ejaculatory orgasms. My confidence increased, my health, my energy, everything. It's been one of the most fulfilling things I've ever experienced, is having this practice of sexual alchemy. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you're ready to accelerate your journey and learn on a practical level how to integrate this process of sexual alchemy into your life so you can learn to cultivate your energy, have non-ejaculatory orgasms, last for hours in bed, check out my 12-week course, Multi-Orgasmic Man. I'll put more information in the description of this video. Please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and leave a comment below. Have a great day, my friends.